Good evening and welcome to the March 17th, 2026. I'm stumbling, what day is this? Meeting of the North Bend City Council, and happy St. Patty's Day to one and all if you celebrate. Will the clerk please call roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Errol Tremolotta.
Present.
Councilmember Brendan Elwood.
Present.
Councilmember Mark Jocelyn.
Present.
Councilmember Heather Cullen.
Present.
Councilmember Rob McFarland.
Present.
Councilmember Christina Rustic.
Present.
Councilmember Susan Torgerson. All are present with the exception of Councilmember Torgerson.
Thank you very much. Would you be kind enough to lead us in the flag salute? Hi, Susan,
Note that Councilmember Torgerson is now
for
here.
that. Welcome, Susan.
States of America. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, well, good evening on this wet evening. Welcome, everybody. See Mayor Pro Tem Tremolotta, when you have a second, if you don't mind, will you make a motion to approve tonight's agenda? Please?
Yes, motion to approve the agenda as written for March 17th, 2026.
Thank you. Can I have a second? Oh, thank you very much. Motion by Mr. Tremolotta and second by Ms. Rustic. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
You're opposed?
Aye.
Is that an aye? Okay, sorry.
Real slow.
Okay, pardon me. That passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to consent agenda. We have 3 items on our consent agenda, but before we continue, council, is there anyone who would like to remove an item and for debate? Seeing none.
Wait.
Pardon?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Point of clarification. I thought there was an issue with the work study notes and you wanted to have that.
I have pulled the work study notes and Susie will make an amendment for us to clarify the 230 Main project and some verbiage that was on that. So we'll amend that as the language that I sent to you, council member.
So we can go forward to approve the consent agenda then.
Yes.
Can I have a motion?
That's on the consent agenda now.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve it then?
So moved.
Thank you, Rob. McFarland, seconded by? Okay, motion by Mr. McFarland, seconded by Ms. Rustic. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Once again, thank you so much. Moving on to audience participation. As always, we appreciate those who come to Chambers to speak to council and myself and online. We'll start with Chambers first. If you have anyone in the audience who would like to speak, come. Thank you very much, sir. Come to the podium and please state your name and please spell your last name for the clerk, please.
My name is Eric Homan,
Okay,
and it's Hohmann.
thank you.
The reason I'm here today is I want to talk about the water and the sewer billing and another item beyond that. I don't know if you've heard or who I should direct this to, but the billing has been, you can't understand any part of it. We're getting negative numbers on the amount of water that's been used. We're getting sporadic different numbers for the sewage usage. I'm a new homeowner. In December, we had our place for 13 days. It's a condo in Timberstone over here. 13 days was $400 in water billing and sewer. And I've called multiple times. I've left my information. There's no one that ever answers the phone. No one ever calls back. I've been here to this desk several times to ask for information and no one can seem to come up with any answers, and it's never handed forward either to somebody else. One of the last times I was here, I told him that I would come to this meeting to ask for some help and some clarity on all this. And I did get from Matt Nussbaum, got a call. We talked about all this. He said, yes, that their metering has been way off, that they're working on that. But I did get an email saying it's been fixed. And for the entire last month, our bill was 14 gallons of water. we used more than 14 gallons. So it's still not fixed. And beyond that, there is also another fee for the size of the meter that's being used. And the meter that's being used is not what they're billing. They're billing $110 for the meter every month when it should be $25 for the meter itself because of the size of the meter. Now, on one hand, they said it's because of the amount of water flow needed for fire suppression, which is great. But we don't have, in that entire unit, we don't have meters of that size. And so if the meters are undersized, yet they're charging for a larger meter, the difference comes out to actually in a year for the number of units in there, $270,000 of extra billing that shouldn't be happening. And so now the other side of that is if the water meters are undersized and they didn't meet code, in the event that there's something catastrophic that happens, a huge fire, and everything was not brought to code, there's a huge liability for the city of North Bend.
You have 3 minutes to speak, which I was unable to.
I'm
You really want to hear what you have to say.
in January, I lost my hearing. I had influenza A, and 75% of my hearing is gone. So if you could speak up, and I didn't hear what you said to me, I'm sorry.
I apologize. Before you spoke, I was to say you have 3 minutes to speak, so that's on me. But I need to have you wrap it up for now, what you need to say.
So
And thank you.
is there anybody that can address this situation?
Yes,
And
that
who
would
would,
be at the moment. We can get back to you. Amber,
Mayor, would you like me to respond to this?
I'd
Okay.
appreciate that.
Martin, can I have you also assist? We are aware of the issue. We are working diligently on trying to fix it the way that the timber stone apartments or condos and townhouses were constructed with the meter that is listed. So we're actively working on it. Martin will be the one to contact residents back right here. Yes,
Okay.
Martin Cha. But we are actively working on that issue and we're aware of that it is happening.
so clear back in December, our billing was significantly more than it should be. And nobody's coming forward saying we're going to credit it.
We're going all the way back. So we'll be in contact with, you're not the only one. We'll be in contact with everybody that we find an issue with that around the billing.
When do you think that we'll see anything? Because I've been told that it's a problem and we're working on it for 2.5 months.
Hey, Mr. Holman, I'm Martin Shaw, I'm Finance
Hi,
Director. Myself, Elaine Morse at the end of the table, Deputy Finance Director. So we're working on that. Give us about a month or so. So we're working on the research on that. Secondly, regards to your particular case, my understanding is that your meter, your particular water meter, isn't operating correctly, and that's why you're having those funny readings.
So there's multiple people inside of there that are bringing up the same problems.
Okay.
So
Elaine,
Mayor,
anything to add?
I will ask you to give your information to Elaine down there on the end and we will connect with you directly. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Amber. Thank you, sir. Anybody else in the community, our wonderful community tonight? And welcome.
Hi, Kate Lean, 980 Mountain View Boulevard Southeast. I'm here on behalf of the board and volunteers from Valley Pool Together to let everybody know about some of the public events that we have coming up this spring. Our next one is next Tuesday evening at Volition Brewing. We're calling it Open Swim at Volition Brewing. However, we recommend that you drink your beer, you don't swim in it, but we're flexible. You do you. The purpose of these events starting next Tuesday is just to listen to the public. We want to hear from the public about what they want to see the next steps be for a new public pool for us. We know there's a lot of questions and concerns and excitement and frustration, all sorts of things going on in the community that are affecting this project. We just want to hear from people. So if you have an opinion about this, please come talk to us. We'll be there from 6:30 to 8:30. Volition is very graciously hosting us, and we're very grateful to them. On April 6th, we are going to be hosting a screening of Ponyo at the North Bend Theater. That is a Studio Ghibli movie by Hayao Miyazaki. He also made My Neighbor Totoro, Howl's Moving Castle, those movies. This is a beautiful movie that's a retelling of The Little Mermaid. And if you haven't seen it before, come see it. Your life will be better. We'll be there as well with our volunteers to talk to the community and listen to what people have to say. And we would love to meet you. I've heard that there might be a specialty drink involving glitter and Swedish fish. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And I'll leave you with this. Just today, I was looking at the 2025 report from the Trust for Public Lands that does a yearly report on the state of recreation and what's available to the public. And they called recreation the great unifier, that it's omnipartisan, which really struck me. They said 2/3 of the respondents to their survey, 66% of them were Harris voters and 67% of them were Trump voters, said they struck up a conversation with a person at a park they hadn't known previously, with half reporting a conversation with someone from a different social or economic background. And that really brought home to me the power that public recreation has in our lives and in our communities to really bring us together, bridge gaps, and create community. So I'll just leave you with that thought because I think we could all use a little more of that in our lives. Thank you.
Look,
Yep.
Mary, can I ask a question?
Yep.
Yeah. And how are you getting this information out about the pool board meeting at Williston?
So far, we've posted an event on Facebook. We're posting flyers around the community, and I am open to ideas. I am not a marketing professional. I am not a millennial. So any ideas that you have about how to get those ideas out, I would love to hear them. Does that answer your question, Heather?
Does, but it's next Tuesday.
Tuesday, the 24th. Yes. Mhm.
Thank you, Kate. Anybody else from the community? No? Oh, hello. Hello, Interim Chief. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, city staff. I just wanted to come up and say this is my last official meeting as the chief of Snoqualmie Police Department attending a council meeting. So I wanted to say thank you to everybody. From my time starting here, it's been great getting to know all of y'all. We're going to continue to work together on obviously other projects and between the two agencies, but I just wanted to say thank you. We've had 14 years of providing service to the city of North Bend, and our department has loved every minute of it. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Okay, anybody online? Bill?
Not tonight, Your Honor.
Quiet? Okay, good. All right, at this time, let's move on to our presentation of the evening. Snoqualmie Valley Hospital Hub Expansion Project, Ms. Renee Jensen. Welcome, and we're all eyes and ears.
Awesome. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us. I'm going to get some slides up because I'm better with pictures. Everything's better with pictures. Thank you. Awesome. So I'm going to give you some information about our expansion project called the Hub and a little bit about what's going on at your community public hospital district. If you don't know, Snoqualmie Valley Health is part of a hospital district, which includes North Bend, Snoqualmie, Falls City, Carnation, and Preston. So we're pretty big and broad, and we serve everybody. But I want you to be able to ask questions. So I'm going to go through some things, but if there's questions you have, please stop me and I will give you a great update tonight. So you may have heard a little bit about this hub, and if you haven't, you've at least seen the giant crane, the construction happening on Snoqualmie Parkway, right adjacent to the hospital. We are under construction. The slide's a little misleading. It says opening in November. We anticipate our construction being complete in November, and then we'll be moving in our equipment, our staff, our computers, our physicians, and everything. And then your guess is as good as mine between November and February. Sometime. We'll keep you posted. It really just depends on how quickly our trades can move. So. I wanted to share a little bit about the why behind the project and the vision, because I think it really helps understand what we're doing and why we're building what we're building. When I first moved, came to this area, actually, I grew up in Snoqualmie Valley. I grew up in Monroe, graduated from high school there, hunted, fished, and camped with my father out here in the North Bend and Snoqualmie Valley. So I know quite a bit about the area. But when I came here professionally to work at the hospital, I had the pleasure and the honor of sitting on the economic development focus group for the city of Snoqualmie. And I learned quite a bit that I didn't know. And what I heard was, post-COVID, our families and our cities really lacked social connections. And we saw a huge spike in behavioral health and mental health illness during and after COVID because those social connections hadn't been able to happen. I also heard that there was a lot of new residents and young families that wanted more options and places to eat. And the healthcare was lacking and people were going elsewhere because they didn't have the services that they needed here. So the hub, the vision behind the hub is really starting to bring all those things together, to stop taking care of people because they're sick and to start thinking more about whole person health and how do we take care of our community as a community that is well as sick, and then thinking like beyond just medical care. What does social connections mean? What does behavioral health connections? So the hub brings all of that together in one space so that we can have all of those things in one place. There were some guiding principles that were established at the very beginning before we even began the drawings for it. And I think it's important to understand the why. But number one, community health and wellness. We do a very extensive community health needs assessment every 3 years. And it tells us what are the social impacts and what are the medical impacts and the things that are leading to the health and wellness of our community. So the hub is addressing all of those things that are lacking in that community health needs assessment. We also know that previously, sometimes people worked there because it was a quiet, sleepy little place and there wasn't a lot to do. And we said, that's not good enough for us. We want to retain and attract the very best talented staff. So that meant that we went to work on increasing benefits, increasing wages, and making sure that we could have an attractive place to work. So the hub, in traditional healthcare, you would put all of your funds and make the lobby really fancy because that's what your customers see. And then behind the scenes, it's all blah and it's vinyl and pressboard. And so we said, no, that's not good enough. We want our staff to have just as good of an experience and engagement in this facility as our patients, our customers, and our clients do. So really focusing on not front of house and back of house, but treating everybody as part of our community, including our staff. Innovation is also something that's really near and dear to my heart. I love to figure out if something's working, how can we make it better? And so my team is a team that is extremely innovative and creative, and we want to bring how can we do it better? How can we inspire to do things that aren't just the way we've always done them? And so the hub has quite a bit of innovation and creativity designed into the building itself. We also know, as you know, this is one of the most beautiful places in the United States you could possibly live, and we wanted to really connect with nature, bring the outside in, and really embrace where we are and what our local community has to offer. So there's a lot of natural Pacific Northwest elements and design and thoughtfulness put into this building. And last but not least, one of the very most important things, this is a revenue-driven design. So everything that we have put into this building has a purpose to work as an ecosystem to drive revenue, to ensure that healthcare is sustainable and can be here for our generations to come. I love that photo. The hub is moving so quickly. That photo was taken only maybe a month ago, and there's already walls and sides up on it, but it's just a gorgeous day that we had in the winter to take that beautiful photo. So our project cost $147 million. Part of that is equipment, part of it's technology, some of it's permits, and some of it is actual construction costs. You might be surprised, or maybe our city folks here probably aren't, but it's about $1,000 a square foot to build medical space. And so it's not an inexpensive project. We raised revenue bonds. So what that means is that we had to put together a plan and a pro forma, and we had to go out to the bond market and sell bonds to investors. And so this is a loan, and it is based on our ability to generate revenue with our project. It is not tax supported. The taxes that we collect from our district support less than 5% of our operations. And so this project does depend on us being able to have good utilization and to produce a bottom line. We're doing some private philanthropy. We do have a foundation and they are doing a capital campaign, and their goal is to raise $2 million to support buying additional equipment for the surgical center for the hub. We've also been gifted from both the state, the county, and the feds several appropriations that are helping to support a little bit of this project as well. We broke ground in May, and again, it says opening November 2026. I think we were really ambitious when we wrote these slides, but we definitely will have ownership of the building and be moving equipment in by November for sure. 85,000 square feet. To give you an idea of how big that building is, the current hospital proper is about 75,000 square feet. So this building will be larger and have more space to serve our community than the current hospital. Staff and economic impact. I bet there's some people in this room that are interested in that. We anticipate by the time the hub is fully loaded and busy that there will be 225 new employees. That almost doubles our current staff. We have about 300 currently. And we'll be bringing more physicians, and we think that about 30 new providers. That might be a little bit on the low side, but each single physician that comes with at least 3 to 4 support staff. When you think about somebody has to do scheduling, somebody has to do billing, somebody has to room your patients. So that is quite a lot of new jobs and new people that could be moving into these communities. Any questions? Yeah, I talk really fast because I'm super passionate about this project. So I'll take a breath and see if there's any questions. Yes.
Ms. Colon.
Question. Are you going to be able to take in insurance such as people like Kaiser or
Sorry. Thank you.
people like Kaiser or the unhoused or people that are going to lose their Medicaid, Medicare, all those things that's going to be happening with the new administration?
Yes, thank you for asking that question. It's a very good one. We take most insurances. Kaiser's a closed network, so they don't offer insurance outside of their network. So we aren't able to do that because that's how Kaiser works. However, we do provide millions of dollars in charity care and uncompensated care to our community. Because we're a public hospital district, we do not turn anybody away regardless of their ability to pay. And that's not just for the hospital, it's also for our clinics. So despite the challenges that healthcare is having right now at the federal level, we are still committed to serving our community. And we're fortunate, unlike other communities that have a lot of Medicare and Medicaid and uninsured, we don't have as much. So as long as our community continues to support us and uses our services, we'll be able to continue to provide that care in our communities. Yeah, thank you for asking that. It's a great question.
Anybody else from council? Oh, Rob.
As long as it was pertinent. A few slides back, I noticed the 4.5 stories. I think it was. I'm curious who's going to be housed in that half story.
Radiology, we put them in the basement. So there are some building codes that you have to abide by. And in order to be able to get the square footage on the footprint of the site here and have enough parking, the architects were very creative and they basically did like a daylight basement. And so in the daylight basement, you have radiology. They like to work in the dark anyway, so it's fine. They don't need windows. But it also is really good for their equipment because they have really big magnets and heavy machinery that needs to have a really solid base. So it actually works better when it's on a ground level. So.
And do you know what the rough time was permitting between first submittal and approval?
I don't, but I know North Bend's faster. Does that count? Yes. Don't put me on the spot there. Yeah.
Back up. Are you going to have pay for parking for patients and employees?
Great question. No, all of our parking is free. We intend to keep the parking free. Actually, part of this construction project is actually adding some EV chargers, a couple of different types of EV chargers to give another option for staff, patients, and visitors coming through on the highway as well. But so far, that's one of the things that differentiates us. If you go to Overlake or if you go into town, you're definitely going to pay for parking. But out here, again, that's kind of like embracing the community that we live in. There's no parking meters on your streets here in North Bend, and we don't think there should be any at the healthcare facility either. So. Great question. So the expansion, this is focused on ambulatory services. So basically we, in the healthcare world, we call that all the outpatient services. So what we'll be adding are a radiology suite in the basement in the dark, and it will have X-ray, DEXA, which is bone density, potentially another mammography. We just added a mammo this past year. It's one of the first 3D mammos ever in the area. And we are already so busy that we think that we may need to add another one. So that's really great. And we built in space for a future MRI, potentially a CT or nuclear medicine, just a little bit of room to grow there for future services. Our lab is so busy and so great that we have outgrown our space at the hospital. So we will be moving the main lab to the hub and leaving critical care services labs in the actual hospital itself. We'll expand primary care. This is amazing. 33 exam rooms and 3 procedure rooms. This quadruples out of the amount of space that we have right now, and it will improve access and wait times for healthcare services in the Valley. We have a great rehab team. This will expand rehab services, and we are bringing an AI gym as part of that will be open to the community. And so an AI gym, I was really excited when I heard about this because I thought somebody had invented a way that I don't have to do my workout anymore, that the AI will do it for me. Apparently I was wrong. That's not the case. What it actually does is it works with a medical provider to help you set up a program that is appropriate for you. So if you are a grandmother that wants to do strength training to be able to chase your kids around the playground, or if you're an athlete recovering from an injury, it sets your workout up, you tap your phone or your watch or your gadget, and then it moves the equipment, it puts the proper weight, the proper repetition, and it adjusts it so it fits your body. So no more pulling pins, no more trying to figure out how the equipment works. It just knows how to do it for you. It's really amazing. So that will be integrated, which what that means is we will have rehab patients working side by side community members, working side by side staff members, and really having resources available to help you meet your goals in that fitness area. We are adding a retail pharmacy. When we started this project, there were plenty of retail pharmacies, but we wanted one close to home, close to our clinics, and now there are none in Snoqualmie. So it is very appropriately timed, and we're very excited to bring that. We talked about revenue-driven design. Another reason to add the retail pharmacy wasn't just to serve our community, but we self-insure our staff for our medical plan. So that means we don't have, anytime anybody goes to the doctor or gets a prescription, the hospital is paying, or the healthcare district is paying for that expense. The number one top expense for us, the thing that costs the most in our medical plan, is our prescriptions. And so by adding this retail pharmacy, it will help reduce the cost of those medications that are going for our staff and reduce the cost of our plan. Yeah.
When you say retail pharmacy, is that your organization, or are you going to farm it out to someone else, to like CVS or something like that, to use that space?
That's a wonderful question. When we first started, I was like, oh my gosh, we don't have a retail pharmacy. How are we going to do that? But the benefits of bringing it in-house outweighed the benefits of outsourcing it. And we really care about our brand and our customer service and our connection to our community. So it will be hometown owned by us. Yeah. Thank you. It's a great question. Yeah.
So if someone comes to your urgent care or emergency care, but then needs hospital care, where do you send them?
We have that now. So I know there previously everybody had thought, oh, it's just a rehab program, it's just a skilled nursing center. But actually, over the last 3 years, we have expanded our acute care services, and we are transferring less and less patients. And we have 25 beds. We have 24 patients in house today, and I think about 3 or 4 of those are acute care patients. So if you come to our emergency room and need admission, most likely you will be able to be admitted to our hospital. It'll depend on specialty services and the extent of the care and all those things, but we won't have ICU. So if you need ICU level care, that's outside the scope for us right now.
That's what I was thinking of, was like hemorrhagic strokes or heart stents or things of that nature.
No brain or cardiac surgery so far. Yeah, all of our surgical services are going to be focused on outpatient, same day type of surgeries, not over patients that might be more critical or need an ICU type of care. So not yet though. Got to start somewhere. Great question. And then urgent care. So this will also expand our urgent care, triple the size of our current urgent care. The one that's on the Ridge right now is run by one provider, and we can see a maximum of about 35 patients a day right now. And we are getting very close to that max on certain days. And so we know that we're going to need to grow into this new space. The nice thing about moving it from the Ridge to the hub is that you will now have all of your radiology techs there, all of your imaging, all of your lab, everything will be right there, and you won't have to either go to the hospital proper or send labs out. So great convenience for our community. We talk about social connections. We are adding a restaurant and community space. We'll have a full service restaurant. We're going to do lunch and dinner. We'll have catering and takeout and an amazing pizza oven. 2 years ago, we hired the 2019 Chef of the Year out of Seattle. Young guy, amazingly talented, and cooks crazy good food. I think all my staff have gained 10 pounds in the last 2 years. But we brought him in to really innovate. How is food part of your healthcare journey, and how is food part of a healthy community, and really reinventing the types of food that we feed our patients, our staff, and our community. So we're excited to be able to offer this. Homemade pizza, homemade pasta, and other really amazing chef-like items on the menu. If you want to preview, we have an app on Toast, and you can order to go from the hospital currently. So don't be fooled. It's not actually hospital food. All right, it will have a cafe and a coffee shop. We'll have some community rooms that are connected to the restaurant, so we can have space to host events that we don't currently have, and hopefully some of our community groups. And then a 3-story indoor climbing wall. And this, again, is really thoughtful about what do we do here in this community that is important. We love to be outdoors. There's a lot of rock climbing. This will not be your typical climbing gym. It'll be kind of a hybrid for those, what I would say are real climbers, and those that are more recreational climbers. And then hopefully it'll have bouldering as well, so kiddos and families can come and feel comfortable to be in this space too. We were able to add some new healthcare services. These are the things that we plan to add. Thank you to the city of North Bend. You guys were amazing partners in getting our clinic up and going here. That was supposed to be after the hub project, but because the city was so good and so efficient and so helpful, we were able to open it early. It allowed us to hire some of our specialists before the hub opens and get our patients in sooner, get those panels full sooner, and be able to produce revenue for that hub sooner. So because of North Bend, we were able to add rheumatology, allergy and immunology, orthopedics, general surgery, and neurology. So we have a general surgeon specializes in general surgeon specializes in all the stuff in your gut, and orthopedics specializes in hands and shoulders. And our neurologist is one of the most amazing physicians you will ever meet. He actually has a personality. So if you know anybody that needs a neurologist, he is fantastic. And then you can see the list of the other things that we're adding here. I just heard yesterday, I'm not even sure it's for full press yet, but we just signed an ENT, and we will be adding probably urology before the end of the year too. So, and those two will have to wait till the hub comes because we're full. We have nowhere to put them. This is just a quick image. You asked about the basement. You can see we have the imaging and the loading dock and storage and supplies down there. Above that, you have kind of your community space, and then your therapy, climbing wall, clinic, and ambulatory surgery with 4 ORs on the top floor. Because of the generous gift we got from the state and the feds with our funds, we're able to outfit all 4 of those ORs. Originally, we we're going to build 2 and leave 2 for later. Now we're going to be able to build all 4. And then depending on how funds go and budget with the project, we will probably just open with 2 and then add the equipment for the other 2 later. All right, we'll take another breath.
Is there a cost for the climbing wall?
Most likely there will be. We're being really thoughtful about trying to make it accessible to everybody and being really reasonable, but need to. Apparently you have to maintain these things, and you have to clean them, and you have to have staff, and so there is some cost to operating that to us. In front of you, I have one of our most amazing employees. I have Kelly with me tonight. She and her team have been doing a lot of outreach to make sure everybody knows what we're doing. So she's dragging me everywhere to tell our story. She has designed this amazing flyer. It's got a QR code. You can scan it. It tells you about our specialty services. On the back, we have a page on our website for the hub. It tells you all about what we're doing and keeps you updated. So you can scan that. If you need any appointments, if you scan that, it'll get you to where you can go to make appointments. And it's, so leave behind for you to remember all the great stuff we're trying to do here for the community.
Hey, Renee, I'm going to check the gentleman online, Brendan and Mark. Do you have any questions for Renee? Nope. Okay. Thank you. Just checking. Oh, yeah.
Well, first off, Renee, thank you for coming and sharing this all with us. Couple quick hits. Does this facility then complete this campus, meaning you're out of land there? Is that kind of maxed at this point?
It's a really great question. We actually have about 22 acres-ish across the parkway, but it's not within city limits. It's actually in King County, and the building codes there and the environmental is extremely complicated. And so it wasn't really feasible or financially viable to build on that side of the parkway. So we acquired the land that we have currently that you saw that we're putting the hub on for this project. Future growth, potentially that acreage across the street, maybe, but even today we were having to move staff cars out of our parking lot because there wasn't enough room for patients. So our campus is going to be pretty tight there. Yeah.
Thanks. And then you're reminding us of the clinic that was opened here in town.
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much. Are there others in other locations, or are you considering opening similar clinics in other locations?
Another great question. So we have 2 clinics in Snoqualmie. We have one on the Ridge, and then we have another that's actually located within the hospital building proper. And then, of course, North Bend. And then our next clinic that we would like to be able to do would be out in Carnation to support their community as well. But that's again, it's a delicate balance between finding the building and the space and being able to operate with the volume that's available from the community. And so we were just able to hit the sweet spot here in North Bend, and we're lucky enough to get it in.
Thank you.
Yeah. You have some amazing providers there, by the way. They're great. And they're committed to staying. So we're not taking them when the hub opens. They're actually staying here.
That's wonderful. Ms. Torgerson, I think you had something to say.
Well, first of all, thank you so much. Just to give you a little background, when I was growing up, there was no hospital. But there was one. It was a really tiny one. If you go on the way to Snoqualmie Casino and you see that piece of land and there's that little metal sign that has nothing in it, that used to be the hospital. It was a small little building. And I just remember growing up, my grandmother and all her friends were part of the hospital guild or whatever. They always got together and they were always trying to get money. They were always trying to get a hospital here. So I kind of became a little bit pessimistic because it seemed like they never got anywhere for years and years and years. It's like, okay, we still don't have a hospital. And so for me, it's just like, this is super exciting and there's so many options to it. And it's like, finally, we have, like, I'd say a quality hospital here. So I just want to say thank you for that. And I'm sure all of the elder folks in the community are saying thank you too, because it's been a long time waiting for, a really long time.
Thank you. I am super, super passionate about rural healthcare. I've actually been a CEO at public hospital districts in Washington State for over 20 years. And this by far is my favorite job that I'm most passionate about. So thank you for that.
Thank you for being here. And I'm sorry to be the pessimistic person in this group, but I'm wondering, with the patients you get that don't have money or unhoused, will you be going after any assets that they may or may not have, such as a home or mobile home or whatever they have?
That's a wonderful question. There are laws now that prevent collections from acquiring assets for medical debt. And so we do try our best to collect if it's reasonable, but otherwise, generally somebody that's going to be in that situation is going to qualify for charity care. We have an extremely generous charity care policy. And every time you come to use our services, our registration clerks will ask you if you would like to apply for the program. And most oftentimes, folks in that situation are going to be eligible for 100% write-off.
Mr. Tremoletta.
Well, thank you. We are very excited. My wife's an employee, so I've been watching this grow. And so my household knows all about this. But I guess my question for you is, as this rolls out, I mean, in my opinion, the success of this is obviously for the community to use it and all the resources and everything that you ran down, which is great. And so you're here. But what is the plan to roll out as these services come available? Like, what is the public relations plan? Also, what can we do from council to help, magnify that and say, hey, these are open, come use them. It's great. You don't have to go to Issaquah. It's right here in our valley. What can we do from that perspective?
It's a fabulous question as well. So number one, thank you for not going somewhere else and using our services. That helps a ton. Part of our strategic plan does also include recruiting from the Issaquah and surrounding areas. So there's so many patients there that are waiting months and weeks for appointments, especially for specialties, that this access will be wonderful. And so I'm like Kelly tell you about the outreach plan, because that is her entire job.
That is exactly what I get to do. Thank you, is help share out this amazing team that we have and the access that we have available, which is, I think, unique. I come from another system where it was 6 months to a year to see a specialist. And the fact that we have same week, next week access is amazing. So we want everybody to know, go home, share with your neighbors, share with your family, share with your friends. We're keeping Renee really busy on a road show, bunch of events around the city. And then I have an amazing marketing team that we're doing a ton of outreach. So you'll see me at a ton of community events throughout the next year with our team. We're trying to get to the schools. We're trying to get to any and all community organizations that we can to share out this information. And then also with referring providers in our community.
So Kelly is actually taking our physicians out to other clinics and introducing them and trying, like saying, hey, we're open, we can get your referrals. But also if you want to help, if you can just follow our Facebook page and like it and share it and send it out when you see, the new physicians or the new specialties, that is great awareness and really does help us. So thank you.
Any additional ideas that you have to share out with the community, I'd love to hear. All ears.
That's great. Did I get everybody?
Thank you guys so much for all of your support and for just welcoming us to North Bend and letting us provide care to you and your families. We really appreciate it and look forward to continuing to serve you in the future.
Thank you, Renee and Kelly. Always a pleasure to see you both. Thank you for all that you're doing. We welcomed you with open arms here in North Bend for the clinic, and our expectation is a longevity and a long time and great things happening at the hub for all the people. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Great presentation. Okay, lights up. Thank you. Moving on to committee reports. Let's go with Ms. Torgerson, Community and Economic Development, please.
Yeah, today we met. It was me by myself and then these two guys online. And that was interesting. But actually thank God we have the technology because it worked just fine. First, we talked about the Ballarat Plaza. And we received an update, just looking at initial design options and discussed different scenarios there. Then we talked about the Snoqualmie Valley Food Bank site. They're asking for a permit waiver. I guess I got hospital in my mind. And so we discussed that for so few of minutes because we saw it was such a great idea. We're just going to put it on to the April 7th council meeting. Then we discussed a little bit about some zoning and definition amendments, which will be on the April 21st council agenda. And then we touched on potential funding options for 2030 Maine. And that's pretty much it for the CED.
Thank you, Susan. Actually, I'm going to have you completely do public health and safety. Brendan, you're online, but I think you agreed that.
All right.
Okay, so if you would continue, that would be
That's
wonderful.
great.
And thanks.
Certainly. All right. So on March 3rd, we had the Public Health and Safety Committee meeting. First, we had an update. We had the chief, Aho, there as well as Justin Walker. They went over all the updates that are going on, learned a lot. I won't give anything away in case Chris wants to share stuff. But they're always interesting to hear what's going on with them. We had a police update from Interim Chief Gary. And again, learned a lot more there. We also have the upcoming Chief Hall was there as well. So we had lively conversations. We talked about a regional fire authority possibility, which is actually pretty interesting. And actually, Efer was talking about it as well in another meeting. But that's more to come on the Regional Fire Authority. It's got a lot of positives to it, so it'll be kind of fun to talk about that in the future. And then that's pretty much it. I think we were a little bit over in that meeting because we had so much interesting things to say. But anyways, that's it for our Public Health and Safety Committee.
Boy, thank you. Finance Administration, Councilmember Rustic, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Finance and Administration Committee met on Tuesday, March 3rd. The first item on the agenda is also on tonight's council agenda, and that was the conversation about the Clark Newber contract. So I know we will have more discussion there. We also, on tonight's agenda, we talked about the ordinance 2025-2026 budget amendment. We'll get more into that. We had an update about the King County police transition as it related to the annex and the outlet mall. We also had a conversation about the ordinance imposing the 0.1% criminal justice sales tax. There was no action, just an update on that. And then we also had a conversation about the Regional Fire Authority. It was the same presentation that was at Public Health and Safety. So there will be for the rest of the council members, we'll get a chance, I'm sure, to have more conversation about that in the future. And then a walk-on item for the agenda was a conversation about Related Northwest, briefing from staff also on the 230 Main project, and no decisions were made. We just talked about funding options. So that was it for finance.
Thank you very much. Transportation and Public Works, Councilmember Colon. If you would mind.
As usual, we had a very large agenda. Number 1 on our list was we did the monthly update. Number 7 on the Meadowbrook Sewer ULID project. There's a lot going into that. Number 2, we talked about the monthly update. Number 3 of SR 202 Shared Use Trail project. Number 3, we talked about a capital project status discussion. And number 4, we talked about a capital project grant discussion. And there's a list of grants staff are currently pursuing and projects that best fit the grant criteria. Staff will provide an update on the grants and answer any questions. That's it. Thank you. Not as long as I thought.
Thank you so much. Excellent. Mayor Pro Tem, Councilmember Carmelata.
Work study, February 24th. We discussed a few different items. One was the 230 Main update with Related Northwest and the development agreement. Does seem like things are changing on that front. And I think we will have more updates to follow. But we then discussed zoning definitions and had various opinions on how to move forward on that. So more to come through, I believe, CED eventually through there. And then discuss regional community liaisons and assignments as needed.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Eastside Fire and Rescue, Councilmember Rustic.
Yes, Eastside Fire and Rescue Board met on Thursday, March 12th in Issaquah. And it was a 2.5-hour training session. Half of that time was spent just with the board orientation. Most of the board members actually are new. We had a number that either were no longer a city part of their city councils or have moved on to other assignments. So pretty extensive orientation. And then the second half was a presentation by an attorney, Eric Quinn, regarding the Regional Fire Authority. So it was, it's a popular topic of conversation, but it was a little more from a legal perspective in depth. And Martin, I know you were there. I was hoping to get a copy of the presentation, and I will share it with the rest of the council when I do, because it was actually a very good information. So that was it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you again. Let's see, Planning, Parks and Economic Development Commission, Mr.
Your Honor.
Oops. Yes.
May I report on regional committees?
You certainly can. Of course.
I'm sorry. I hope I'm not out of order, and I don't mean to step on staff.
I welcome your thoughts, please.
Yes, thank you. The Sound Cities Association had a networking event on Island short. It was well attended. Member of our North End hoi polloi, I guess that's us. As well as lots of folks throughout the region. There was a presentation from the World Cup 2026 hosting committee for Seattle. We're within 100 days of the World Cup kicking off, as folks are well aware, and folks are keeping very busy. They're anxious, are soon to be provided with ticket information as to where folks who have purchased tickets will be coming from, and that will help guide further planning and outreach efforts. On March 11th, there was a virtual meeting of the Sound Cities Association Public Issues Committee. It also was well attended. I will note it was virtual, and it was, as we might remember, during the windstorm. So folks like me once in a while dropped out and came back because power was fluctuating. The primary focus was the King County Transportation District is moving forward with a proposal to assess a 0.1% sales tax to help fund roads in unincorporated King County. The roads division of King County is severely strapped for funds as annexations continue, and yet demand and use of unincorporated roads increases. Of course, North Bend are surrounded by roads maintained and maintained by the King County Transportation District and the Roads Department, including the road up the Middle Fork, much of which runs across federal land, but it still falls to the county to maintain that. The Public Issues Committee did decide to take an emergency action and drafted a letter to the King County Transportation District, which is simply advisory. We don't have a vote on this matter. The the Sound Cities Association Board of Directors is meeting on Thursday, and were they to approve the action adopted by the Public Issues Committee, that letter would get passed on to the King County Transportation District. It has two primary areas of focus. One is that the cities be given a seat at the table in prioritizing projects and how the monies are allocated, and that if the Transportation District does adopt a 0.1% increase in sales tax countywide, that there be a 25% pass-through of those funds to cities. Of course, it has no standing in the King County Transportation District, which is a standalone entity. It is the same. The King County Council members make up the King County Transportation District, but it is an independent body that does not need, this would be a councilmatic tax increase requiring no further action nor a vote of the public to be implemented. It's estimated to raise about $100 million a year and would be enforced over the next 10 years. The next meeting of the Public Issues Committee will occur on April 8th. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ms. Councilmember.
I would like to add to the TPW committee request. We are having flood warnings coming our way. And so I am hopeful that we can work on our stormwater drainage, and that also the citizens will work on keeping their drainage clean so the water can flow through. And then I just want to give a good kudos to the snow event and the plowing. They did an excellent job. I was very happy to see my road done in the morning. Shocked out of my mind. And the arterials looked great. The roundabouts looked great. And they did a fabulous job. So thank you, TPW.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from regional commissions or reports to give? Ms. Torgerson.
I have two reports. First of all, the regional law, this is from the Sound Cities Association, SCA. I'm part of the Regional Law Safety and Justice Committee. And we're finally going to be having some meetings. Apparently, they had a lot of employee changeover with the new executive. So we have our new schedule starting next week as our first meetings. But I have some kind of exciting news, because last year when I was on the committee, I had asked if we could think about doing some sort of advocacy for addiction situations in our communities. And I was surprised that they said, let's look into that. So was tasked the job of finding maybe a couple of speakers for that. So I've given some names to Sound Cities Association. So I'm excited. Hopefully we'll get some traction and we can do something positive in that arena. And then my other report has to do with the Snoqualmie Valley Chamber. There was a gala. I think it was I think it was the end of February. Feels like it was March, but it's February. And at the gala, there were we acknowledged the nonprofit organization Evergreen Mountain Bike, and they've just done a ton of things for our community. So that was pretty exciting how they got recognized at the gala. And then also our own Ken Herring, he received the Fritz Ryberry Award for his years of service to the community. So another one of our North Bend's groups, so that was exciting. They also wanted me to let you guys all know that this week they're starting the Coffee Passport program, which there'll be 30 coffee houses in Snoqualmie Valley. You go around and you get your passport punched, and then after you got all of them punched, then you can turn it in for a drawing and potentially win a 2-night stay at a hotel. So for all you coffee lovers, jump on in. And that concludes my 2 reports.
Thank you so much. I think I'll now go to Mr. Henderson for Parks Planning and Economic Development Commissions, please. And thank you.
Great. Good evening, Mayor and council members. The Planning Commission met on March 4 and were briefed about a content neutrality Supreme Court case law pertaining to sign regulations. They also received a briefing on the adopted 2026 Planning Commission work program and elected chair and vice chair positions for 2026. The Planning Commission will next meet tomorrow evening, March 18th, and will hold a public hearing on the amendments to the city's permitting timeframes for consistency with state law. The Parks Commission did not meet in February. They will meet next on Wednesday, March 25th, and discuss draft amendments to the Parks element, including prospective amendments to the Parks Capital Facilities Plan, comments received from the Snoqualmie Tribe, and amendments needed for an update to the Parks Impact Fee Rate Study, which is being performed by the city's consultant, Bowman. The Parks Commission will also discuss their initial findings to identify wayfinding signage around the city to prepare recommendations for future pedestrian and bicycle wayfinding signage improvements. And finally, the City of Snoqualmie and the City of North Bend held a joint Economic Development Commission meeting on February 18th to identify mutual priorities for economic growth and opportunities for partnership and collaboration on mutual goals. The commissioners coalesced around 5 common priorities, which included mountain town character, business and entrepreneur support, family-friendly communities, city beautification, and affordable housing. The North Bend Economic Development Commission will meet on March 26th to review the priorities and discuss next steps.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to introductions. Item number 5, ordinance amending NBMC Chapter 1720, binding site plans. Mr. McCarty, would you take it away?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So I'm bringing you the Planning Commission's recommendation on amendments to the city's binding site plan regulations in Chapter 1720 of our municipal code. So binding site plans are a alternative form of land division that's authorized by the state subdivision statute. They provide a somewhat simpler alternative to a conventional subdivision. And historically, they've been used principally just for dividing land for commercial and industrial zoned land, as well as for mobile home parks and condominiums. The state legislature in recent years, though, has really focused on trying to make housing more easy to develop. And they passed Senate Bill 5611, which amended the state subdivision regulations to expand the availability of the use of binding site plans also now to multifamily residential uses as well. So this will provide greater flexibility for dividing land for these multifamily residential development projects. So staff have prepared amendments to our binding site plan regulations. They're fairly straightforward amendments in Chapter 1720 for consistency with the state legislation. Planning Commission held a public hearing on February 4th. They did not receive any comments, and they provided a recommendation of approval. So staff recommend approval as well to make sure that our regulations are consistent with state law.
Thank you very much. Okay, any clarifying questions from council? Ms. Rustic.
Yes, I read through all of it, and it was relatively straightforward. But at a higher level, and if you don't have a good example, can you give an example of something that somebody couldn't subdivide before, but maybe can now, just to put to context the change of the words?
Sure. If it's a multifamily project like apartments as opposed to condominiums, and it were located in a multifamily zone, previously they would not be able to use the binding site plan process to create division of the lots. They can do that now through this amendment.
Thank you.
Any other clarifying questions from council? Ms. Colon?
If you are adding to your property, how do you ensure that there is enough water or sewage capacity?
So the city has concurrency regulations, which is a test of municipal services, and that's required for any development project, regardless of whether it's multifamily, commercial, et cetera. And there is a concurrency test that evaluates capacity for water service against our water level service standards and sewer service against our sewer level service standards. And if a development cannot pass those level of service standards with the added impact of the development, we cannot approve that development because it would fail the concurrency test.
Yeah, you sure can.
Sorry. In alignment with that question, what about parking and roadways? Does that fall under that same category?
Streets, yes, we have street level service standards that evaluates impacts to our intersections and traffic flow, as well as certain standards concerning bicycles. Not for parking. We do have separate parking regulations, though, that developments are required to comply with.
Anybody else from council have any clarifying questions to ask Mr. Riccardi? No? Okay, I believe this came through CED. Ms. Torgerson, would you like to make the motion?
Certainly. Oh, I'm on the right page. All right. Motion to approve AB 26-025, an ordinance amending North Bend Municipal Code, Chapter 17.20, binding site plans, as a first and final reading.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. McFarland. Ms. Torgerson, would you like to add anything else or comment?
This just seems to be a logical step in keeping our code nice and clean. It just seems to be practical.
Thank you very much. Mr. McFarland, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Nothing to add.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else on council have any comments to make? No, seeing none. Okay, motion, let's go on. Motion to approve AB 26-025, an ordinance amending North Bend Municipal Code, Chapter 17.20, binding site plans as a first and final reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you, one and all. Okay, moving on to item number 6, another ordinance amending NBMC Chapter 2008, Comprehensive Plan and Development Regulation Amendment Procedures. Back to you, Mr. McCarty.
All right.
Thank you.
Chapter 28 contains the procedures by which the city considers amendments to both the comprehensive plan and our development regulations. And within that, there are certain criteria that guide the decision-making process, or the recommending body from the Planning Commission and ultimately the City Council. One of the things that we considered with the work plan for the year ahead is how can we increase efficiency? So we're having to do more with less staff, or constantly more permitting with not necessarily greater staff. And so efficiency is a really important factor. So as a part of that, we wanted to add a criteria for efficiency specifically to this evaluation process. And opening that up, we also found that there were other criteria that we wanted to consider, specifically fiscal impacts when an amendment to the comprehensive plan or development regulations come forward. How does that impact the city's long-term financial picture? And then there were additional impacts through that process that we wanted to elaborate on. What were the adjacency impacts when an amendment comes forward? How does that impact adjacent properties or neighborhoods? How does it also impact the environmental quality? How does it impact equity, or how those impacts might have an impact on those that are economically or socially disadvantaged, and then also what are cultural impacts, how revisions might impact cultural resources. So we've added these criteria to that process, and the Planning Commission provided a hearing on February 4th. They considered comment received from the Snoqualmie tribe, which the amendments have incorporated. And following that public hearing, the Planning Commission recommended approval. So staff also recommend approval. We believe this provides a more comprehensive and well-rounded basis for making recommendations and ultimately decisions on code amendments and comp plan amendments.
Thank you, Mr. McCarty. Any clarifying questions for Mr. McCarty? Nope. Seeing none. Okay, I believe this came through CED again. So Ms. Torgerson, please make the motion.
Sure. Motion to approve AB 26-026, an ordinance amending North Bend Municipal Code Chapter 20.08, Comprehensive Plan and Development Regulation Amendment Procedures as a first and final reading.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Torgerson, would you like to comment to your motion?
Yeah, I think this is a nice first step of, as we're trying to make things easier for our staff and making decision-making. I think this is a great thing to do. So I agree with it.
Wonderful. Ms. Rustick, to comment.
I appreciate the efficiency improvements, and I also appreciate the Snoqualmie tribe taking the time to make their comments. They always contribute things that I know I wouldn't have thought of, and I do appreciate that, and I appreciate that we've take those into consideration and make some adjustments. So,
thank you very much. Anybody from council who wish to have a comment? Mr. McFarland.
No real comments on the AB itself, but I'll take the opportunity to again thank the Planning Commission for their work. This is an example of one of the tough kind of an issues that comes through, and they have to wade through so much to get there. And it's always a good feeling for me at this level to be able to say, I agree with the Planning Commission's recommendation.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jocelyn, I think I see your hand on there.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to echo all the previous comments, in particular, Councilmember Rustick, and reaching out to the tribe. Clearly, the feedback provided on this particular agenda bill is indicative of their willingness and thoroughness in engaging with the city and being responsive, and I think helping us do better. And similarly, Councilmember McFarland identifying staff and the Planning Commission both as doing their due diligence, being forward-looking and inclusive in their work and efforts, and I am in support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Did I get everybody? Okay, motion to approve AB 26-025, an ordinance amending North Bend Municipal Code, Chapter 17.20, binding site plans as a first and final reading. All in favor?
Point of clarification.
Oh, yeah.
It's 26.
What?
AB 26.
Thank you so much. Do you want me to read that over? Because it's there's 20 dash. Let's do it again. My apologies. Motion to approve AB 26-026, an ordinance amending NBMC Chapter 20.08, Comprehensive Plan and Development Regulation Amendment Procedures as a first and final reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all. That passes unanimously. And thank you for bringing that up, Susan. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on to item number 7, another ordinance amending 2025 to 2026 budget. Mr. Chaw, love to hear from you tonight, and thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. For the record, Martin Chaw, Finance Director. Council members, this is item number 6 on your agenda packet. This is an ordinance amending the 25-26 budget, BA number 4. I have a slide up on screen. I'll blow this up. This ordinance council makes several amendments to the biennial budget. First of all, it amends the fund balances for 2025. This reflects technical adjustments that were made following the 2023 audit that just concluded, as well as the 2026 beginning fund balance, which reflect actual financial performance at the end of 2025. Also included in this budget amendment are carry forward budgeted grants, which we had budgeted in 2025, but at the end of the year were not received. So therefore, we are simply rebudgeting those into 2026. This budget amendment also amends 2026 interfund transfers for the timing of CIP expenditures. And then lastly, it amends the 2026 expected utility rate revenues to reflect the recent utility rate adjustments that the council approved under ordinances 1849 and 1850. And those include the water and sewer rate ordinances. This item was reviewed by the F&A committee on March 3rd, as Councilmember Rustic referenced earlier, with a due pass recommendation. And that concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Cha. Any clarifying questions from Mr. Cha? Oh, sure. Mr. Tremoletta.
Can you explain the carry forward budgeted grants expected but not received? How many those were? Why we didn't receive?
Yes, these primarily reflect the grants that we budgeted for the railroad project. Because of timing of expenditures, those reimbursements did not come in yet in 2025, and therefore we're carrying forward those to 2026.
Thank you. Any other further clarifying questions from council? Mr. Cha? No? Okay. Let's flip over to, okay. I think this is you, Ms. Rustic, is it not?
Yes,
Okay, would you mind making the motion?
I will. Thank you.
Perfect.
Motion to approve AB 26-027, an ordinance amending the 2025-2026 budget as adopted in ordinance number 1823 and as amended by ordinance 1826, 1837, and 1847 as a first and final reading.
Do I have a second? Oh, thank you, Ms. McFarland. Ms. Rustic, would you like to speak to your motion?
I have nothing really to add for it, so thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McFarland, anything you'd like to add?
Just note, thank you for reading that motion.
Yeah.
And just note to the rest of the council, there were a couple items originally in this budget amendment that came to F&A that we chose to defer to a later time, so they are not in there. And I just want to make sure you're aware of that. You might call those out, Martin. Thank you.
Oh, you bet, Councilman. So there were two items that were included in the original ordinance, council members. The first one was creation of a public arts fund. This fund would be funded through seed monies as part of development revenues that were received over and above expectations. During discussion with F&A, the committee recommended that instead of creating that new fund as part of this budget amendment, that we should take it up as part of the budgeting process for 2027 and 28, and that works fine. The second item is was a identification of a contract for economic development for the 230 Main project. And through that discussion, the committee recommended that we also defer that for further discussion during work study with council, and then we bring that forward once council approves.
Martin, can I add to that too? There will also be an amendment for Pettigrew Consulting, the lobbyist that we've hired for Project 34. So that was going to be called out separate when we bring his contract forward for that budget amendment as well. So that was also removed.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other council members have a comment to make? Anybody online, gentlemen? Nope. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Motion to approve AB 26-027, an ordinance amending the 2025-2026 budget as adopted in ordinance numbered 1823 and as amended by ordinances 1826, 1837, and 1847 as a first and final reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you all.
Your Honor, I couldn't get to mute in time. I was an aye on the.
Thank you.
supporting it. Yep.
Thank you so much. I love that clarity. Most appreciated. Passes unanimously. Thank you again. Our final, final item is a motion authorizing contract with Clark Nuber for federal grant advisory services. Back to you, Mr. Chaw.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. Again, for the record, Martin Chaw, Finance Director. Also online, council members, is Jen Keller. She's principal in charge of the study from Clark Nuber. She's available to help answer any questions if you do have any. This is agenda item number 7 in your packets, council members, AB 26-028. Again, as the mayor mentioned, this would be we're seeking a motion to authorize an agreement with Clark Nuber for federal grant advisory services. In terms of background, council, grant revenues is a large part or large segment of our city business. In your agenda bill on page 73, we have a graphic showing that over the past 10 years, we've received about $16 million of grant funding, primarily for the CIP. City does a great job in terms of soliciting or seeking grants and getting those awarded. However, the management of grants is just as important as receiving those grants. Many grants comes with conditions of award. And grants do also come, particularly federal grants, comes with requirements to comply with the uniform guidance, which is the Code of Federal Regulations 2 CFR 200. The public policy objectives of this proposal, council, is to focus on reducing and mitigating audit risks. And again, those goes back to the conditions of the award and compliance with federal regulations. The proposal here is also consistent with industry best practices as recommended by the Governmental Finance Officers Association, as well as the Municipal Research Services Center. This next slide is just a detail of the of past grant awards won as well as lost in 2026. In 25, and then going back several years prior to that. So as you can see on this chart, for example, in 2026, we won 4 awards totaling about $3 million. Those include the Sidewalk Gaps Project, Complete Streets, and as well as the Street Overlay Project. And then in 2025, there were 5 grants that were won. The largest of which was for the Railroad Crossing Project, and that's the project that I just referenced earlier for Councilmember Tremolata, as well as the North Bend Way Bridge Replacement Project. And then as you can see towards the bottom half of this worksheet, a large grant that we won several years ago was for about $10.2 million. This was for the South Fork extension. So again, the purpose of this was just to show you how number one, how robust our program is, and then number 2, the value of these grants. So the proposed scope of work, council, includes 2 phases. The first one is for Clark Nuber to perform a review of our current processes, procedures, and tools that are used to govern the day-to-day management of grants. And this review would be an end-to-end review from grant inception to closeout. And then based upon the knowledge gained from phase 1, the second phase would include recommended strategies to strengthen, streamline our existing processes with recommendations for process, procedures, and tools improvement, again, focused on risk mitigation and risk avoidance. Total cost of this project is $40,000. It'll take approximately 4 months to complete. Our plan is to spread this cost out amongst the 5 major funds that receive grants throughout the city. That includes the general fund, transportation, and the 3 utility programs, water, sewer, and stormwater. This item was reviewed by F&A on March 3rd with a due pass recommendation to council. That concludes my remarks. Again, myself and Jen Keller, who's online, would be available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chaw. Anybody in council have any questions? Mr. Tremolo.
Well, I should actually say, have we ever had a study like this, or and if so, when was the last time we did this?
We've never had a study like this.
Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Torgerson?
So I'm going to try and summarize what I think this is. And what I'm gathering is that we're going to have consultants come in and look at the processes on how, after we've applied for grants, that we go through the stages of tracking the grants and the requirements that are required by the city to complete as a result of said grants, because everybody's got different rules and regs. So what this is saying is that the consultants are going to come out and take a look at how we're doing business now, and then try to give us recommendations on how to do it better, or maybe to do some sort of additions to it. Is there, I feel like there's a lot of time being done. I feel like this could be done quicker. So I'm wondering why it costs so much, and 2, how come it takes so long? Like, it seems like it's a very specialized focus kind of deal. So I guess I'm looking for a little bit more clarity on all of that.
Jen, are you online? Are you able to answer the timeline question?
Yeah. So it's a 2-phased approach. The first phase takes about 2 months. That's where we get all of your documents that we need to review. We review the documents. We also like to interview staff. And just between all of the reviews and people's schedules and getting everyone interviewed, that takes about 2 months. And then the second process is that we provide you then with the recommendations to make improvements and highlight things that are going well, and things that need maybe to be tweaked, and things that need to be started. And we provide you then templates as well for policies and procedures to help you on that journey and to help you implement and address those recommendations. That then goes to your staff to amend. And that time frame I gave 2 months for, because it really depends on capacity internally and how fast they're able to turn them around. But then once all of those are addressed and turned around, they come back to us for a final review, just to make sure that any of the edits don't edit out the required requirements, and that they're still compliant once they've been tweaked to fit the city's needs. And so that part can take anywhere from, well, it just depends on the capacity and availability of the staff to amend those policies. But the part that we're actively working on is about 2 months.
Ms. Cullen?
I'm struggling with us always needing consultants for everything. And I'm wondering, is there not a way that we can do this in-house and figure it out ourselves, where we have a dictionary that looks up all the different grants that says this is where you need to dot your I's and cross your T's? And can we not do this ourselves and save $40,000?
Mr. Bell?
Yep. Councilwoman Colon, certainly that's a very legitimate question, and we could attempt to prepare this type of review in-house. I'm not a grants expert, neither is Elaine. However, that doesn't mean that we couldn't do it. We could. I have a little bit of familiarity with 2 CFR 200 guidelines. The part that we really depend on from the grant writer, so staff that actually writes the grants, is their familiarity and their role and responsibility for ensuring that accurate records are kept and that those records are submitted on time and accurately to the grantor. So there's a partnership involved that's required. And this type of review has not ever been done before at the city. We are getting to a size where the grant awards that we're receiving are getting to a value where they're triggering what's called a single audit. And this was discussed this morning with Councilmember Rustick as well as the mayor as part of our exit interview with the state auditor's office. So in short answer to your question, Councilwoman Cullen, yes, if council wishes, you can direct staff to prepare this in-house. We will, we can do that. The risk that we have is, again, Elaine and I aren't grant experts, and to the extent that something gets missed or falls through the cracks as part of our, we don't know what we don't know. So that's the risk.
Mr. Tremlett.
So the way I'm thinking about this in my experience is we would do this every day of the week in the private sector, right? We'd hire Accenture, McKinsey, BCG, whoever, optimize. We're doing great. We want to do better. We're not doing great. We need to fix the problems. Is the intent, and the intent here is right. It's a study with best practices so that it's not like we're hiring Grant Nuber indefinitely. It's for the best practices that we then bring in-house and provide our staff and our team a way to do this better internally. And I think for me, grant writing, especially in the public sector, it's a revenue stream, right? Like we should, in my opinion, I'm looking at this as I would, economic development. And so if there's a way to ensure we're getting the grants at the pace that we're getting them now, and additionally find a way to increase that in the future. Am I looking at that the way staff's looking at this is like, how do we optimize and get better? Okay.
Right. And if I could add to that, for example, on the previous slide, let me pull that up. 2026, we won 4 awards totaling about $2 million, or yes, about almost 3 million, excuse me. And one way to look at that, Councilman, is the cost benefit, right? An investment of $40,000, 4 months of effort for protection against about almost $3 million worth of outside funding.
Thank you.
If I could add just one more thing. At the last TBW meeting, I brought forward to the committee a list of grants we're going after right now. And it's in the 14 to 15 different types of grants we're going after. They all have different requirements for reporting, reimbursements throughout the length of the contract. It's just a lot. In the last 3 to 4 years, we were getting $200,000 grants from a few agencies that were pretty easy to work with. And now we're going after so much funding now. That's kind of the onus on my end of this.
Ms. Torgerson.
Just a quick question. Do we have any sort of tracking system to track these grants? Like, I don't know, is it an Excel spreadsheet or a software program that we're tracking so we know when we need to do the next milestone?
As of right now, it's just a simple, using Excel sheets, tracking it through our project management system. We do have with our iWorks asset management system, there is a grants module attached to that we're not using right now. We want to potentially go through this contract to see how we can use that. So this contract would help us figure out how we would use that grants module.
Thank you. Heather, I think Brendan's a little bit before you. I apologize. Brendan.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, I'll echo Councilmember Chemilata's point of view on this. I see this as an investment, quite frankly, and being involved in nonprofits, and everybody's got their day jobs, and we're doing everything to try to get keep the business going. Bringing in an expert consultant that can help you just become better and is a good thing, especially when money's involved. And I saw on that slide that you had up previously, Martin, I mean, there's a lot of lost revenue there too. And if you start adding those dollars and cents up, that's a meaningful loss, right? So yes, we've been successful. There's been some meaningful gains, but when I consider this particular item as it's coming before us, I see it as an enrichment and investment in our staff to become even better at what they do. And it'll be kind of like a leave behind best practices type of things. They're always a good things. I think the $40,000, when you're looking at the relative scale of the grant revenues we're trying to get, is a drop in the bucket from my personal opinion. So I applaud staff to say, hey, look, we know what we know, and we know that there's a lot that we don't know. So let's get some experts in here to really help us to become even more efficient and streamline our processes and actually increase our odds at securing some more funding. So I will be supporting this. Thank you, Your Honor.
Just a point of order, Your Honor. I believe we're on clarifying questions.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, Mark.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Councilmember Colon.
I believe that if we did it in-house, and it would be hard, we would learn the hard way, but the right way. And we could essentially get a dictionary that said, oh, this grant, you need to do blah, blah, blah. And this grant, you need to do blah, blah, blah. And we don't need to pay $40,000 to tell someone what to do. And then we still don't know what they're telling us, in my opinion.
Mayor, can I add something real quick?
Absolutely.
I just wanted to clarify something that Councilmember Elwood said, is we're looking at this, we have 3 people in our whole entire city that write grants. So we have someone on the capital side, someone that does it for CED, and it's very limited. Then you have the back half of that. And to your point of bringing someone in that can say, from pre-award to the contract, to who's managing the contract, to all those A, B, C, D, E, how do we deploy staff to help those only 3 people that we have? And a lot of that is someone in our, capital side going out for these projects. And quite frankly, like what Tom said, we were going after lower hanging fruit of agencies we'd worked with before. To bring in that revenue stream to get these projects completed, we have to be a lot more aggressive. And with aggressive, we need to have effective practices from start to finish. So that's a piece of this, as we're looking at that as that opportunity to be able to capture more of these funds and do it efficiently.
Thank you very much. Any other additional clarifying? Oh, just look, Farrell.
Thank you. I'm conflicted on this one. First off, this is a drop in the bucket in most regards, 40 grand. I mean, in the scheme of things, yes. And so I don't disagree with Councilmember Tremolata and Elwood's comments in that regard. But I am also troubled by a couple of things. And so part of it comes out of the high regard of which I hold the finance department. So I've got 2, perhaps 3 questions. So first one, Martin, in the proposal for phase 1, it speaks to the need to review the city's current grants management systems, including staffing, technology, processes, procedures, tools, funding, and includes a focus on the day-to-day management of grants, including procedures for billing and reimbursements, current processes from grant intake to closeout. Question is, isn't that a fundamental responsibility of your department?
My answer to that is no. The fundamental responsibility for ensuring the management, the compliance, and the compliance with grant requirements is with the grant writer.
Okay, I think that leads me immediately to a different question, because I thought I did hear earlier you make a reference that this perhaps was oriented towards asking the grants manager, or whatever the appropriate title would be, to be the primary lead on tracking and submitting these accounting reports. Is that correct? Is that what this is oriented?
Yes, that's correct. And that is what's happening now. So for example, Dan Marcinko, who's our grant writer who secures many of these grants, he is the one that maintains the paper records. Again, it's all on Excel, and he submits the reimbursement requests to the grant to the granting agency.
Including if there's, I'm assuming that different agencies probably have different forms that are required to be filled out as part of that. That includes that.
Absolutely.
Okay. And is responsible for tracking the actual accounting?
The actual accounting is tracked by finance.
By finance. Okay. So my first question related to the first phase or first task in there. My second or third, I guess, question is paraphrasing. Contract goes on to speak to Clark-Nuber deliverables to provide recommendations, templates to strengthen and streamline city's grants program and management to align with industry best practices, policies, and procedures, and provide the technical guidance to ensure organizational resources are properly aligned. I presume those will largely be based on federal grant policies and or others that may be involved there. And they note that it's going to be heavily reliant on their procedure library that they maintain. Would you agree that that level of specific knowledge is outside of your typical scope of city finance department?
Yes, I would agree.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm torn between feeling that maybe we need a little rescoping here and saying it's 40 grand, let's move on. So.
Thank you. Anybody else for clarifying questions? Seeing none? Okay, I think this is back to you, Ms. Rustic. Make the motion.
Okay, yes. Yeah. Motion to approve AB 26-028, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Clark-Nuber for federal grant advisory services in a form and content acceptable to the city attorney in an amount not to exceed 40,000.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Mr. Jocelyn, go with Mr. Jocelyn on there. Thank you very much. Second by Mr. Jocelyn. Ms. Rustic, would you like to add to comment?
Well, I appreciate the council's questions and conversation about, utilizing what limited resources we have. There's no, I keep saying there's no stone that we want to leave unturned and really understand where our money is going. With that said, this is a risk mitigation contract that we are ensuring that we aren't spending $40,000 in penalties down the road, that we're able to continue to get grants. And so I think this is perhaps a better way to use it proactively. I like the templates that will be provided because we have an excellent staff, but we know that you're not going to be wanting to be here forever. Some of you, might have other things you want to do. And this will give us an opportunity to have a standard practice where somebody else comes into the role, they can just pick up these standardized templates and process and be able to keep the train going, shall we say. So for that reason, I will support this tonight.
Thank you so much. Mr. Jocelyn.
Yes, thank you. I want to echo Councilmember Rustic's assessment. One of the primary duties that we are assigned as a council is fiduciary oversight and management. This is a risk mitigation issue and protecting the city from liability going forward. I have, during my time on council, been so impressed with staff's continuous and so often successful efforts to bring in grant funding. We were just told the slide that was on the screen, the $3 million in grants or close to that is anticipated. That's 25 to 30% of the city's general fund in a given year. The other information that was provided in the council packet, and don't quote me precisely on this, it cited, 2015 to 2025, 15.6 million in grants. Well, if you take the $40,000 that we're being asked to provide here and spread it over just a single year, that's 2.8% of the grant amount. If you spread it over the 11 years that money came in the past, that's less than 1/4% per year that we're allocating to, mitigate risk. And if you take the $40,000 and spread it over the single year of $3 million worth of grant funding. That's just over 1% grant that our staff works hard to bring in, save our taxpayers money and or improve the quality of life, because we're able to build more things and provide better service and provide higher levels of service without burdening our taxpayers. And so while $40,000 is not an insignificant amount of money, I believe it's money well spent, and I will be supporting this evening. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Anybody else from council wish to come? Mr. Torkelson, then Mr. Tremolata.
Oh, yeah. It's me. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm in support of this. I think it's important that we have our ducks in a row. I think it's important that we understand the games of the rules of the games. And I think by having a consultant, I mean, we probably could learn it on our own, but that would take time and we could lose deals in the process. So having consultant giving us advice, giving us tools for our toolbox can help us get there faster and win more deals. And I think it's a win-win in the long run. So that's why I'm going to support it.
Thank you, Mr. Tremolata.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to support this. And I think to put it in better context, maybe for the rest of the group, I think a less sophisticated staff or city government would have put up those slides and could have easily made the same argument to us and said, we need another FTE, right? We're doing so well, but look, we lost all these grants. We just don't have the time. There's 45 different papers to fill out. We can only focus on 20% of them. But they didn't, right? They tried to they're bringing us an opportunity to optimize the staff that they had, which I also include that they're hearing us as a council as we've been talking about budget and how we want to be as nimble and frugal as we can as we're planning ahead. And trying to get the best out of the folks that we have and train and maybe get better at that. So I think this is actually holistically exactly what I would have asked for, right? 6 months ago when we talked about budget and where we want to go. Because of course I want to seek more funding. I want to get better at what we're doing. But I think this is actually very comprehensive and a strategic approach, listening to council and what we've been saying, and also trying to achieve what we want, which is more revenue, more grants, more opportunities for our city. So I appreciate the fact that you're bringing this to us and not necessarily hey, we need more help, because I mean, I know at least in my world, everyone needs an extra set of hands if we could get them. But I think this makes sense. This is certainly a step in the right direction. And I would support this and hope we all can, and then we'll evaluate where we're at the end of that and next year and see where we've gone. So appreciate that.
Excellent. Anybody else I might have missed? Mr. McFarland, of course.
Thank you. This is exactly the conversation that I was hoping that we would have tonight. And that was, I think, the committee's feeling on why we wanted it on the main agenda. And so I appreciate the conversation. Following up on Councilmember Tremolata's comments there, exactly right. And to be clear with staff, this isn't saying, hey, you're not doing your job. It's making sure that we understand what's going on and how you're approaching it. I will say I'm going to remain concerned because it seems to be more oriented towards our grant writer than I had understood it to be. So it seems a little odd to be in finance. So I'm still in my mind a little bit with that. But particularly to the comment about, hey, it's not coming forward saying we need more staff. Yes, that's a good one. But I'm also concerned for existing staff and grant writer that this study comes out putting more expectations on what I think is already a loaded position. I would be concerned with that. So I look forward to seeing the recommendations that come out of this study. And so, yes, of course, I'll support the effort to figure it out.
Very good. Did I catch everybody? I think I did. Well, okay. All right. With that, motion to approve AB 26-028, authorizing the mayor to enter into agreement with Clark Nuber for federal grant advisory services in a form and content acceptable to the city attorney in an amount not to exceed $40,000. All in favor?
Aye.
Any,
Aye.
so that was all. Heather, did you vote? I didn't hear.
I'll answer as an aye.
What was that? I'm sorry.
You don't answer as an aye.
Okay. Okay, that's motion passes unanimously. I think we got it all. Okay, thank you, everybody. That wraps up our introductions. We're going to move on to Mayor, Council, Administrative Concerns and Initiatives. And just let it be known that we have an executive session right after. So let's start with our gentleman online. First and foremost, Mr. Jocelyn, if you have anything to mention or say tonight.
Sure, this is going to be a funny one, but it does bring it home to our daily lives and things we experience. I'm a dog owner. She so wants to be good. She needs a herd of sheep. We did not buy a dog that matches our lifestyle. I walk her regularly on a regular route. I cross these days Skyview Park and the path south of the apartments there on Orchard Drive. And I have been so severely disappointed recently at the failure of some members of our community to pick up after their dogs. I will not go into specifics about the amount of other people's dog poop that I have removed out of the park, and part of it they put laid new electrical lines over the new park district headquarters building and put in wood chips, and somehow that empowered any number of people to decide that that was a good place to take their dogs and failed to pick up after them. And I just got to say that, you know, with being a dog owner comes a civic responsibility to police your pets. And so please, folks, I would encourage you to do so. And picking up off that thread, I just wanted to share this piece that was in today's Seattle Times. And I'm just going to read it real briefly because it really hit home to me, and it's on a similar train of thought. The Department of Ecology for the state of Washington said, and the Washington State Department of Transportation spent more than $17 million cleaning up litter across our state in 2025. Crews picked up more than 6.2 million pounds of litter over 19,000 miles of roadway in 2024, the most recent year with finalized totals. The pickup numbers are big, but they're still just a fraction of the 38 million pounds that gets littered each year along roads and in public areas. Ecology said, that's about 5 pounds of litter for every single resident in our state. So I just want to leave us all with that thought, and we can all do our own part of putting little trash cans in our cars and making sure that things that we do dispose of end up in the waste stream and not on the landscape. And with that, I will pass it along. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Elwood.
Thank you, and nothing tonight.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Torgerson.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to, I have 3 comments or ideas, items, whatever you want to call it, to share tonight. First, I wanted to talk about this last week, our windstorms, snow removal, power outages. For me, generator that didn't work. And I want to give a huge thank you to all the people that were out there taking care of us. First, our public works team out there clearing the debris and removing snow. And then kudos to the PSE and Tanner Electric. They were out there, you know, pretty dangerous conditions, trees down and, you know, live wires, et cetera. And then they're restoring our power. And then our first responders, they were super busy too, especially Battalion Chief Cody Ramstad from Eastside Fire and Rescue. A mother-to-be on Mount Side Road went into active labor because of the fallen trees. The road was completely blocked. No emergency vehicles could come to her assistance, so he parked his vehicle and walked in, and they continued to walk down the road going through trees. Tanner Electric came and cleared some trees for them and made sure the electrical wires weren't live in front of them. And they met up with them, and then they walked back to his car, and then he drove them to the hospital, and they had a little baby boy. So that was pretty exciting. Very proud of Battalion Chief Ramstad. And I think it's pretty cool. The very heart-touching little story there. And also I want to say kudos to our own Chief Gary. as this is his last meeting with us. And thank you for your service. Really enjoyed having you at all of our public health and safety meetings. And you've been a super help in so many ways. I can't even say it all. So I just want to give you a good kudos on that. My second item is I wanted to talk about, like we were talking about grants tonight, and Mark or Dan Marcinko has done an excellent job of grant writing for us. So appreciative of what he's done for us. And I just wanted to say, last year, the session just closed on March 11th, right? Last year, I learned that there were some opportunities, and Dan wrote up one of the funding requests for the Cedar Falls Sidewalk Lighting Project. And unfortunately, we didn't get it. And then the city, I guess, applied for it again this year, and again, we didn't get it. So it wasn't because of Dan, but it was just a bummer. We just didn't get on the list. But what I did last year is I went to Olympia to advocate for it. And the way you do that is you make appointments with all the reps. You get exactly 15 minutes, that's it, and then you're out. And so you got to advocate for what you want. I'm thinking that maybe as a group, we might want to do more of that, both the city as well as council members going forward, because there's a lot of money there that we potentially could pick up besides the grant writing that we're doing in other areas. And I learned that Carnation was granted funds for their roundabout, which is very cool because they really needed it. But I also learned that they were the squeaky wheel. They were calling, they were going there. And that's something that we all can do as well. Who else? I think there was another organization. Oh, kudos to James, because he got our feasibility study, $200,000. I won't go into details. That'll be at the work study, but that's awesome. We're going to have that for Project 34. So anyways, that was my point, is I just think that maybe we should be able to, as a group, maybe get more involved in that. And then my last topic, because this is, we have these open meeting laws as council members, we don't really get a chance to talk to each other, right? So I think this is a great forum in which to do that. And so at our last council meeting back in December, I requested a budget versus actual report for personal expenses. And I thought it was really helpful for us to take a look at that. So what I would like to do is build on that, and going in the future is to see if we can get a report like that every month, because that would be really helpful to all of us, since that's our fiduciary responsibility, is to look at the numbers. And by having it monthly, it'll give us an opportunity just to really be knowing what's going on, and we can act on something sooner if we need to. So I'm requesting that we have this report, and I'm making that request to our city chair, Chair Rustick on the Finance Administration Committee. My hope is that they'll talk about it, and maybe they can work with the finance director to do something with that, starting with all the funds on the general fund. And looking for feedback from the rest of council if they like this idea. And with that, that is concluding my concerns and initiatives for this evening.
Wonderful. Ms. Coleman, do you have anything you'd like to say?
This is kind of silly, but I'm just going to add on to Councilmember Jocelyn's poop talk. You can use a used Pringles can, put a string through it, and put your poop bags in it, and then close the lid and carry your poop home until you get ready to dispose of it. And I thought that was a very useful idea, and that's what I have for tonight. And thank you, TPW.
Well, a lot of thinking out of the box, almost literal there. Good job. Let's see, Ms. Rustick.
Thank you. I can't top that, and because I don't have a dog, so I wouldn't have had that idea. But anyway, thank you, Councilman Bert Torgerson. We will put that on the Finance Committee agenda, your recommendation for that, and have more discussion about it. I just wanted to thank, Public Works, snow removal, tree limbs down. It's been kind of a crazy a week. Who would think it was spring? Who would think it was baseball season, right? And a thank you to Chief Haracy for all of your support, and we still look forward to seeing you around town, okay? And then finally, there's been quite a bit of public conversation about a battery storage facility that is proposed for, it's in King County, closer to the city of Snoqualmie, but when a project like that is proposed, it impacts Snoqualmie and North Bend residents alike. And so there was something posted tonight. I guess they were having a meeting up at the club at Snoqualmie Ridge earlier. Unfortunately, due to this meeting, we're not able to attend. But they do recommend if you want to provide feedback or get more information, there is the King County Department of Local Services, which oversees permitting in unincorporated King County, L. Richardson at kingcounty.gov. That's where you should send your comments, or definitely encourage people to send comments to Councilmember Sarah Perry, King County Councilmember. So anyway, as we get more information, we'll share it, but I think it's something that I know a lot of residents are thinking about right now. And that's all I had.
Very good. Okay, Mr. Tremlott. Thank you.
Yeah, I will just piggyback on that item. It's a Jupiter Power is proposing to build and operate the Cascadia Resiliency Energy Storage Facility. You should check it out. You should understand it. There are neighbors in Snoqualmie, and I think more importantly, what happened tonight, from what I understand, was a good showing of residents that are concerned. And I think when you live in King County and you're a small town in King County, sometimes decisions are made that you may not agree with. So I think it's behooves Snoqualmie and us as a small town to understand those sort of risks and support the louder voices who may not being heard by the larger King County. I think it's a little bit troubling for the Valley to see something like this. So I hope you will check it out. I do want to add an item on mental health, as I have been throughout the year. Nearly 1 in 5 American adults will have a diagnosable mental health condition in any given year of their life. 46% of Americans will meet the criteria for a diagnosable mental health condition sometime in their life, and half of those people will develop conditions by the age of 14. So once again, call your friends, check on your family, check on your loved ones. Mental health matters, and if you're struggling, make sure that you don't let the hard days win.
Thank you so much, Mr. McFarland.
Thank you. Some duplication here. Definitely thank you, Chief, and all the patrol officers for their service and safety to our community. As you were walking in tonight, I thought, this is about the last night, and there you were saying, yes, it was. So I'm glad I got that opportunity. Shout out to organization that a fellow council member's involved with. He didn't speak to it tonight, but I went to see Macbeth. My goodness, he's a Macbeth. Did a great job. Valley Center Stage continues to do awesome stuff. So I'm giving them a shout out tonight, since he didn't. On a downer note, I both appreciated and was a bit appalled by the story from the gentleman tonight about his struggle with water metering issues in Timber Ridge, and to hear how long that's been going on, and particularly that he felt that he had to come here to get attention. I know that there's always more than one part of the story, but that was a little disturbing. And we seem to be having a rash of issues around water metering. And by that, I mean, I know of 2, but they're both big. They're both big. So that was a little worrisome. Way to go. Public Works crew, as always, effective snow control, and now general storm cleanup, including what I will call the Mark Prey Memorial Pathway here at City Hall. Very pleased that we're attending to our own frontage, and thinking again that when these snow events are coming, we need to be more mindful of reminding the public of their responsibility, that homeowners have a responsibility for the sidewalk in front of their house, that businesses have the responsibility for the sidewalk in front of their business. And businesses generally do a better job. But over the years, I've been very disappointed in the attentiveness of local residents. I was one that had the father who said, get out there and start shuffling. And, oh, by the way, go to your neighbor because he needs help. I would love it if our community responded better there. And then related to the power outage and all, yeah, a big shout out in many ways for that it wasn't as impactful as it could have been, but a major plug for the power of EVs. If every EV vehicle could power a house the way mine did, the silence in the neighborhood would be awesome. So I give you that. Moving on to my regular that I've said I'm going to share with you. If you didn't happen to hear or perhaps believe my comments from our last council meeting, first I encourage you to go back and listen to that. This week, the U.S. Senate's taking up Trump's bill to restrict your right to vote. Restrict or remove it. It appears that as the attack on Americans in our city streets was becoming more negative, a war was started in its place. I don't know. Is the goal there to distract you from what is happening here at home? You'll have to decide that. So my song for this week, this meeting is Monster Suicide America by Steppenwolf. 1969. I continue to be trapped in the 60s, yes. Couple of lines. 'Cause the people grew fat and got lazy. Now their vote is a meaningless joke. They babble about law and order, but it's all just an echo of what they've been told. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Emery.
No updates for me tonight, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Sure.
One item I forgot to mention, which I would like to, is a big thank you and unfortunate news from Nick and Andy Springer of Bread and Bone. They announced that they are shuttering the doors on their business, and just reiterate to everybody that do your best to support our small businesses. They obviously did it for a couple different reasons, but we appreciate their efforts. They're a great community family, and we all loved going there. So support any and all the businesses that you can in town.
Wonderful. Yeah, I was sad to hear that too. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, good. Okay. Thank you, Gary. We all thank you for you and all the police officers for your efforts over the last many years. So thank you. And we look forward to hearing more about your future and what you're up to and staying close. So thank you so much. Incoming Police Chief Ed Hall invites residents to join him in community conversation about local public safety and the city's new police department. They'll begin serving North Bend on April 1st, April Fool's Day. Of course, please stop by for 2 opportunities to connect next Wednesday, March 25th at Red Coffee from 9 to 10. Or Blackwater Brewing from 5 to 6. Additional meetups are scheduled. If you were unable to attend, please check with the city's calendar and on our website. Please join me for a meetup mayor series tomorrow night. That starts at 5 and goes to 6 at the Swirl Snacks Shop. Looking forward to seeing people and answering and helping you in any way we can. Citizen Academy is still going strong. It's been a wonderful opportunity to have people get involved and really hear the stories and learn about our city and everybody and all the community, all the efforts that we're making and all the people behind the scenes. Anyway, that reception event will be held before our next council meeting on April 7th, starting at 6:15. Please join us if you can. Recognition will occur at the beginning of the council meeting that starts at 7 o'clock. I think that's it for tonight. We are going to go into an executive session right now to discuss potential litigation pursuant to RCW 4230-1101I and to review performance of a public employee pursuant to RCW 4230-1101G. Let's see, Kendra Rosenberg, our counsel, will be joining us tonight, and we expect to be at least 10 minutes for each item. And we wish you all, we'll be back, but we'll wish you all well. Okay. Thank you.